So today I want to talk about something that pastors wrestle with all the time. How do you encourage people who feel called by God, while also recognizing that calling and readiness are not always the same thing?
Welcome to Pastors in Recovery, a podcast dedicated to ministry leaders and pastors navigating the challenges of their own hurts, hang-ups, and habits. Hosted by Jon Hammond, a grateful believer in Jesus Christ and a pastor on the road of recovery. This space is here to remind you that God's grace is bigger than any struggle. Each episode brings real stories of redemption, practical tools for healing, and encouragement rooted in Christ's promise of renewal. You don't have to walk this journey alone. Let's explore how God meets us in our brokenness and brings light to our darkest moments. Welcome to the conversation.
That's a difficult balance because if a pastor controls everything, people never grow. But if a pastor releases people too quickly, it can hurt the church, even hurt the leader, and honestly, sometimes hurt the person themselves. And as pastors in recovery, our own wounds and insecurities can pull us toward unhealthy extremes. Some pastors become over-controlling, and others release people too quickly because they're desperate for help, exhausted, or afraid of disappointing people. This takes wisdom, real wisdom. You know, when I was in Bible college, I thought I was all that. I really did. I had gone to youth camp, came down to the altar, and I genuinely felt called by God into ministry. And I believe that calling was real. But when I got to Bible school, I honestly thought, why doesn't everyone recognize this? I thought I was ready. I thought I could pastor a giant church. I thought I understood ministry, and I thought I saw things clearly. And honestly, I probably judged older pastors sometimes. You look at large churches as a young minister and you think, I could do better than that. Why aren't they doing this? Why don't they change that? But what you don't understand as a young leader is process. You don't understand what the pastor walked through to get there. You don't see the betrayals, the failures, the counseling, the pressure, the sacrifices, the lonely nights, the years of consistency. You just see the platform. But people often admire the platform without respecting the process. And honestly, while I was called, I wasn't ready. I had hurts, I had insecurities, and I lacked leadership skills and relational maturity in some important areas. Some of that was recognized while I was in Bible college at the time. That really frustrated me. But as I look back, I understand it much better. God may truly call someone long before they are fully prepared. Now, here's the other side of this. Even though I wasn't fully ready, there were pastors and leaders who still gave me opportunities. And honestly, some opportunities I probably didn't deserve yet, but they trusted me anyway. They let me serve, they let me grow, they let me fail, and they let me learn. And I learned a lot the hard way. That's important too, because this episode is not about shutting people down. It's not about pastors becoming cynical. It's not about controlling everything. Sometimes people need opportunities in order to mature. That's biblical too, right? I was talking with another pastor one time, and he shared a situation that really stayed with me. A man in the congregation told him he felt called to preach. Now, as pastors, we want to encourage people when they sense God stirring something in their lives. So this pastor encouraged him. But almost immediately, the conversation turned into, so when can I be put on the preaching schedule? And the pastor barely even knew the man yet. He didn't know his character, his consistency, his relational health, how he handled correction, whether he was teachable, or whether he had really been proven over time. And hearing that story reminded me how difficult those moments can become for pastors. Because you don't want to crush someone's calling, but you also have a responsibility to protect the church and wisely discern that timing and readiness. And honestly, that story connected deeply with some experiences I've personally had over the years too. 1 Timothy 3:10, and let those also first be proved. That matters. People need time. People need process. People need discipleship. I remember another situation that honestly ripped the heart out of me. There was a man I trusted. For months I invested in him. Eventually, I went on vacation for a few weeks and allowed him to help cover things and preach while I was gone. And when I came back, I discovered he had been telling people that he basically had greater spiritual authority than the pastor, that the church wasn't headed in the right direction, and that God was showing him things. And eventually, the whole situation became heartbreaking. Lives were damaged, a marriage fell apart, people got hurt, and honestly, it affected me deeply. Not just because of ministry problems, but because betrayal hurts, especially in church, because ministry is built on trust. And here's something pastors have to be careful about. Sometimes charisma gets mistaken for maturity. Some people are excellent communicators, funny, magnetic, emotionally engaging, powerful speakers, and they may genuinely have gifts from God, but gifting and grounding are not the same thing. A person can know how to hold a microphone long before they know how to carry a cross. I remember another individual who became heavily involved speaking in ministry settings. Very charismatic, very engaging, very talented. And later it became obvious that they were using much of that experience almost as preparation for building their own public platform. Now, maybe I'm wrong about some of their motives. Only God fully knows the heart. But looking back, it left me with a painful feeling inside. Were we being used? That's hard for pastors because we aren't just managing organizations. We're opening our hearts to people. We're trusting people. We're investing spiritually in people. And when that trust feels manipulated, it hurts deeply. Matthew 7:16. You shall know them by their fruit, not by charisma, not by talent, not by stage presence, by fruit. Now here's the danger. After pastors get hurt, it becomes tempting to swing to extremes. Some pastors begin micromanaging everything. Nobody can preach. Nobody can lead. Nobody can make decisions. Nobody can grow. And honestly, that too can stun a church. Because according to Scripture, the pastor is not supposed to do all the ministry alone. Ephesians 4:11-12. And he gave some apostles, and some prophets, and some evangelists, and some pastors and teachers for the perfecting of the saints for the work of the ministry. Did you catch that? The role of leadership is equipping the saints for the work of the ministry, not controlling every part of it personally. A church can only grow so much if one pastor controls everything. Eventually, ministry has to be entrusted to others. That's biblical. And there are pastors who modeled healthy balance in this area. Tommy Barnett, longtime pastor of Phoenix First Assembly in Arizona, became known for empowering people to launch ministries inside the church. And Rick Warren, pastor of Saddleback Church, often encouraged people who felt called into ministry to step forward and to serve instead of simply talking about vision. But neither of those pastors recklessly handed authority to random people. There was a process, and there was discipleship, and there was observation, and there was accountability. People were developed before they were deeply entrusted. That's wisdom, because healthy churches don't grow through one pastor controlling everything. Healthy churches grow when leaders equip, disciple, and release healthy people in a ministry. And because of that, thousands of lives were impacted. Ministries were birthed. People discovered purpose. Churches grew. That's balance. Not control, not foolish release, wisdom. And this is where pastors desperately need wisdom from God. Not reaction, not fear, not ego, not insecurity. Wisdom. Because every person and every situation is different. Some people need opportunity in order to grow, and other people need more time hidden in discipleship and healing before stepping into public leadership. That's why pastors need to pray carefully over these decisions. James 1:5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally. I love that verse because God doesn't shame us for needing wisdom. He invites us to ask for it. And pastors also need trusted counsel from mature believers and leaders around them. Sometimes other healthy leaders can see things we miss. Warning signs, blind spots, pride, manipulation, or even potential we may overlook. Ministry decisions should never be made in isolation. And this is one reason recovery matters so deeply for pastors, because our own hurts, hang-ups, habits, insecurities, fears, pride, approval addiction, and unresolved wounds can affect how we lead people. Sometimes wounded pastors release people too quickly because they're desperate for help or affirmation. And other times, wounded pastors control everything because they've been hurt before. But healthy pastors tend to build healthier churches, not perfect churches, healthy churches. Churches where wisdom and grace can coexist together. Churches where people are developed carefully while still being encouraged in their calling. And that's why doing the hard personal work of healing matters so much. Because a healthy pastor grows healthy churches. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Thanks for listening to Pastors in Recovery. And remember, even if all this ministry ever does is help one person, it's still worth it.
Back in Bible college thinking I was the next big thing. Walking through the hallway like I already had the ring. Thought the call alone and I was ready for the wait. Didn't understand maturity, and gifting ain't the same. Yeah, everybody else was slow, at least that's what I thought. Critiquing every pastor from a classroom that I sat and watched. Talking like I knew the pressure of a church that barely grew. Never built a thing myself, but somehow had the perfect view. Funny how God humbles you, peels the mask and troubles you. Shows the pride that's buried underneath the stuff you're running through. I had wounds I never faced, pain I learned to hide away. Wanted ministry success before emotional healing came. Yeah, the calling may be real, but the process takes time. And God builds deeper things long before the spotlight shines. I was called, but not ready yet. Had the fire, but not the wisdom yet. God kept breaking down my pride step by step. Yeah, I was called, but not ready yet. But not ready yet. Oh, yeah. Then I saw some people rise because they knew how to perform. Crowd gets moved easy when charisma feels warm. Funny, loud, magnetic, everybody loves the sound. But fruit grows slower than the gifted person drawing crowds. One guy almost split a church while I was out of town. Came back hearing whispers like he should be leading now. That kind of pain cuts deep because ministry means trust, and betrayal in the church leaves a different kind of dust. Another dude was speaking all the time inside ministry. Later looked like maybe he was building his own industry. Now maybe I was wrong and only God can judge the heart. Still felt like we were helping somebody else launch from the start. And pastors hurt too, that's the truth nobody says. Some start controlling everything, some hand out trust instead. Too fast, too soon. Trying not to lose, but healthy leaders need God's wisdom every time they choose. We are called, but still growing yet. Still healing, still learning, still broken yet. God meets us in the middle of our mess. It starts restoration there. We are called, and he's not finished yet.
As we close, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and thank you for being a part of this community. If this episode encouraged you, challenged you, or simply reminded you that you're not alone, I want to invite you to subscribe and leave a comment. That small step really does help this podcast reach other pastors, ministry leaders, and hurting people who need encouragement. If you'd like to support Pastors in Recovery, you can give using the link in the podcast description. Even just $2 a month can make a real difference in helping us continue reaching pastors walking through recovery and healing. You can also listen to the music created specifically for this podcast by searching for Crashing Lyrics on Spotify, Apple Music, and other music platforms. All episodes of Pastors in Recovery are available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also visit pastorsinrecovery.com. There you'll find episodes, music, and additional resources. We do this podcast for one reason: to remind pastors they are not alone, that healing is possible, and that God is still at work even in recovery. And remember, a healthy pastor grows healthy churches. Thanks for listening. And never forget, God meets us in our brokenness, and that's where the journey of restoration begins.